Wix Studio has officially arrived and it is pretty stinking awesome. So in this video, we're gonna be building out an entire landing page, moving from our design tool of choice like Figma, bringing everything over and establishing typography styles, color styles, animations, page transitions, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned because we're about to build a website without a single line of code. All right, I have my Wix project open and it's a new project ready to get going. And I also have my Figma file open. This is a really cool project that's actually by logbook.so. It's a real website. You can actually go to the web right now and see it. And let's check that out really quickly because it has a bunch of really cool, fun little animations like on load and on scroll. So we're going to be accomplishing some of this today. A really fun, simple, single page landing page with a lot of interesting interactivity. So that's what we're going to try to build today over here in Wix Studio. Over in my Figma file, I've actually taken the liberty of exporting all of the assets that are associated with this project. You can see them all over there, SVGs, PNGs, and I've also taken the liberty of coming into Wix Studio and uploading all of the different typographic styles, or creating all those styles by uploading my typography. We're using Nunito today as our typographic choice. That's the one that's on the website. And then just creating all those sizes and styles. That way we can reuse them over and over inside of our project. I've also taken the liberty of adding some of the colors from the project in my color styles. We can see we have ones for background text, for our action color or our call to action, button color. And then we have a bunch of other supporting colors that you'll find inside of the design. And even though we are creating a single page landing page, you have the option of setting global transitions to all of your pages. So I like to always just set that, set it and forget it. That way, as you're starting to build larger sites, you get this great consistent interactivity in between your pages. Okay, so we're gonna tuck that away. And I've also just created the very first initial parts of our design, which is filling in my global header section. You can see up here on the left-hand side, if we're looking for these components or these global sections, you can go up here and look for your global sections. We have a header, we have a footer, and those are on my page. But we also have, next to that, we have all the different pages in the site. We have all of your layers. So very similar to a design tool, really, really easy to understand. Move layers around, delete them, whole thing, just like a layer stack in a design tool. You have your add menu where you can add all of the goodies, menus, repeaters, lines, shapes, but then you can also add assets and pre-built sections and containers and text and buttons and all sorts of cool stuff here. So that's where you add all of those. You've already seen our site styles, but we also have access to the Wix app market, like adding an e-commerce stores, booking functionality, members areas, really, really cool stuff there. CMS, and then also custom code. If you wanted to add a little bit of spice by adding your own custom code, you could do that as well. So that's where you would do it. And we have over on the right-hand side, we have our contextual panel that's open because I have something selected, right? I have my nav bar selected, or I have a section selected, or maybe I just have a specific button selected. Contextually, it shows us all the options. Of course, you have all your responsive stuff up top. We can ebb and flow our website already. Set it back to our desktop mode, our primary desktop mode. We could add more breakpoints. We don't need to do that right now. We just need to start working. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the canvas on the outside, open up my contextual panel. I'm going to set the background color of my site to what I think is this color. This is like your dark, kind of warmer gray color that ends up being 3847 in hex value. I think it is actually this darker color right there. Okay, cool. So we have our darker color. Those are the ones that we've established inside of our color styles. Perfect. And our branding shows up. It doesn't have the little beta tag, but who needs it? The next thing we're going to do is let's actually just add, this is a graphic in the original design. So we're just going to honor that and add the graphic in. And why don't we add in, we'll hit plus right there. Let's go quick add, and we'll just drop in an image. Now, this image is really cool the way that Wix Studio does this. You can just drag this around and absolutely position it. You could, if you want, expand it and make it fit the whole size. That's a possibility too, or drop it back down. But let's change the image. And when we click change image, you can see I've already uploaded a bunch of different elements for my site because I exported them all. I just dragged them all into Wix Studio one time. I can select those, update, and it's a transparent PNG. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now let's come in here really quickly and set that to fit inside the bounding box. That way, however we kind of like spread this thing out and resize it, it's going to adjust the right way and stay responsive for us. So I'm just going to hold this left and right. I'm holding down Option as I stretch, and we'll just make this a little bit bigger. I could probably get the exact dimensions here. Width of 780. We could set that up here in the top right hand corner and just do width of 780. Let's try to stay as true as we can to our design. The height is 560, so a little bit higher, 560. It's probably gonna make it a little bit bigger, and it automatically spreads out that that image for us, or that section around it for us. Let's go ahead and align to the center. Just make sure we're aligning things and align to the middle. Everything is like centered the way that we want it to be. Perfect, beautiful. Now what we can do is we can actually bring in some of those fun little elements, and these are all separate elements. So we got like your little orange avatar with the word designer, and these are popping in at different times. Let's just refresh. You can see the avatars come in like boom, 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 and then the little tags join right after that. So let's add those little guys in. Sorry, we'll go back over here, and we're just going to add in another image like that, and let's change our image, pop it in really easy. There's one. And you know what you can do is just copy and paste one of these just like that. Let's change the image again really quickly to go avatar 1, and easier thing to do would just be make sure that we fit these. That way, as we copy and paste them, they all have that similar behavior. Let's copy and paste. There's our third avatar. Change that image to this one, the winking avatar. Now let's find where these are actually sitting. You can see here, in the design at least, our avatar is on top, but in the actual end result, the final website, we want it to be behind. So to do that, we're going to go back to our website. Let's open up our layers panel, click in here, and just make sure that the text is on top in the layers panel. Boom, immediately we get that nice little cover, which is really, really nice. Okay, the next thing we need to do is now just add those tags in. We have our elements here, and you'll notice that when you click on the elements, you can see we have this docking, margin, and padding. Right now, it's docked to the top. Each of these are docked in their own position, like top right. These ones over here are docked just to the left, and these ones are docked like to the top left. So you're going to get different behavior in how you pin or dock things to the edges of your container, especially if you're working with those constraints, those responsive constraints. So I think this works for us for now. Why don't we just spend a little bit of time working on our navigation? I think the last thing we might be able to do is add that, but we might treat that as a new section. So let's refresh this really quickly and see avatar 1, 2, 3, and then it looks like all the tags come up at the same time. I'm going to grab my lowest avatar right here. And why don't we head over to the top right here to interactions, and I just want to add an entrance, okay? And how do we want this thing to enter? I think float in is probably a good one to do. I love that you get these fun little examples here. Float in looks like it has more than just fade, but it has some fade and some float, which I think is pretty cool. Let's do that. You can see the example there. Okay, perfect. And we can actually adjust the animation by clicking down here on the bottom right, and let's make it a little snappier. It's a little slow for my liking, and we're gonna give that one 0 delay, and it's floating in from the bottom. Okay, now let's do the same thing here. We'll add our float, we'll adjust the animation. We also want it to be 0.5, but we want to give it just a little bit of a delay, like a 0.3 second delay from below. And we're going to give this one a 0.6 delay. So let's adjust that animation. We're going to 0.5 here, and let's go 0.6 of a delay. And now when we press preview, we should get each of these popping up at different times. Really, really fun. I love that. And let's go back to editing our site. Let's do bloom and adjust the animation. Again, we want it to be quicker. We just want everything to be a little bit snappy, and all of these are going to have a 0.8 delay. So let's just preview that. Boom, it kind of just blooms up there. So we'll remember these, and we can change the direction of it too. So it blooms up. Yep, almost good. I think I like it going back down the other way. Perfect, just like that, okay? Let's grab this and do the same thing. Let's add a new section, shall we? I'm going to click the plus section down here. And I could have put that inside of the header, but it's so close that I might as well just pop it down here. I'm going to hit an image, change that image, and I'm probably just going to manually place it where I want it to go. Let's update here. Perfect, just like that. And we're going to change the image to fit inside of the bounding box. Look at how nice that looks. Okay, and our section has some sort of background, which we don't need. So I'm just going to bring the opacity of it down, right? And then we can take this and just align it to the center. I'm going to hold shift and drag it up to put it really close to the top of my section here, and maybe just shrink it down a little bit. I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now, kind of seeing what it looks like. It looks like it has a little bit more space than that. Okay, cool. And then we have some text that'll go underneath it. Okay, so why don't I come in here and I'm going to hit a plus and I'll put a title inside. Beautiful, just like that. And I'm going to choose white so we can actually see this thing. And I think it is a heading 2. I think it might actually be our heading 3. So let's redo that. It's at 50 pixels. Beautiful. We can grab our title, pop it in. We get to dictate the size of our bounding box. And why don't we also center align our text really quickly, because that's how it is here inside, right? This looks like it was maybe caught in the midst of the animation, but definitely like very center aligned. So let's go back and let's just see. It is in 3 lines, but it looks a little something like that. Perfect. So again, now we can just align to center, make sure we're perfectly aligned, and put it somewhere like there. And it looks like it has a little bit more space, and then we're going to pop in our animated elements beneath it. So I think we'll actually just leave those in their own section, and then I'll start a new section. And here we go. We're just cruising down the page. So we have this like big background, and then as we move down the page, let's just refresh again so you can see it. As we move down the page, these little elements are going to zip in and like move into place. So that'll be pretty cool. And then our little elements to the side of them actually move out. So let's get our main elements inside there. What I'm doing now is just adding those elements like you've already seen me do throughout, balancing everything, bring them in and changing them in the layer stack so they have some of that dimensionality. And then I'm going to insert some of the individual elements on top of that background piece, our little chart here. And I'm going to start messing with some of the animations. We're actually going to do some interesting scroll animations for this one, I think. So to add these animations, we want them to be these scrolling animations. I'm going to grab each of these elements, right? And instead of actually building an entrance, I'm going to do a scrolling animation. And I'm just going to do a simple move in. Okay, I'm going to select move in. It's going to say the image itself is going to move to its design or to the current place that it's at. And let's adjust that animation and just make sure it's coming in from 270 degrees or so. And we can actually, you know, as you scroll now, we can see how it's going to animate as we scroll into place, which is pretty cool. We can also control the distance, right? If we want it to go, like, we don't want it to scroll from as far away. And I actually really enjoy this, like this scroll tracker, right? It's telling us the progress of the animation. This is at 0%, that's at 50. We can quicken the animation, shorten the animation, delay the animation, all with those little scrubbing paddles there. So pretty cool. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add that scroll movement, and you can scroll parallax, scroll shape, scroll. You can do all of it based on the position of the scroll, which I think is pretty cool. So let's go back down to 90 degrees there. Okay, we got like our little Gantt charts, and maybe we want these to actually Gantt chart from the same direction. And you know, we can change the distance, like make these move at like a little bit of a parallax rate, which is kind of cool. And we can even stretch that out and make it like scroll for longer, kind of what we were talking about there. So that's pretty cool. I don't like it that long. Let's tuck it in a little bit. So different, little bit of a different speed. I like it. Let's click back out. Let's get our little element here. So we get, it's fun because we get a little bit of that parallax effect there. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to do the same thing for these guys, but I think we've already done it for our cards. Let's scroll up really quickly. Let's press preview. We get that fun little popping animation there. As we scroll down, we get our cards and all of our elements to kind of pop into place. So, oh man, that is really satisfying. I really enjoy that. Okay, so we have that one done, and now we have each of these popping up. Let's just do a new section down below. And yeah, new section, you guessed it. We're going to go back to our design tab, and we'll close this off. This section is just a couple of little elements popping up, but we also have some text. So why don't we actually just copy our text here, because we've created kind of a similar container that we want to use. What I'm doing here is just bringing in the typography, and I'm actually duplicating the elements from the section above. And what I love about that is even though I change the image, that animation actually stays baked into my element. So I can just add that scrolling animation. Here you can see me playing with the different types of scroll and effects or animation effects, getting it just to my liking. And then once I get it, I'm going to go ahead and start duplicating the elements so that I have all 4 of my little alert boxes, and each of them are going to hold on to that baked in animation style. All right, let's stop there for now. Take a look at what we've done. Understanding that we could continue designing to our heart's content, but we've done a pretty good job at establishing some of those sections, the animations, and when we're ready, all we have to do is press publish, and we get a staging site that's ready to go. We can launch this thing, send it to our client, and we get all of the fun animations involved in it. Scroll animations, entrance animations, everything. The typography looks great. Everything's responsive and ready to go. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching the entire video. If you made it this far, building websites inside of Wix Studio is super easy. And if you want to give it a try, there's a link down in the description. You can get started for free today. So definitely check that out, sign up, and get going. You can build websites without writing any code. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of videos on this channel specifically about web design and no-code development. So until next time, I'll see you in the next one.